speaking of which, you mentioned before that one of the issues with that people have in relationships is sex. What
Yeah.
issues do people have around sex? What are
Yeah.
some ones?
Yeah. I think like, and if we link this back to like trauma or family upbringing, I think there's your answer there. Like, what was our beliefs around sex when we were teenagers? What were our values around that? What was our religion or our religion? I was brought up in a Christian upbringing. Was there any trauma in childhood? Like adding all of those layers, or even as simple as like you're not allowed to have sex before marriage, like all of these beliefs, or sex is bad, um, you know, that can really disrupt like the time in the bedroom, right? Because then you're like, well, that's not a turn on, or you feel this shame that, oh, I can't have sex, it's bad, or it's taboo, when really it's not. They're not only like, a lot of people think, oh yeah, okay, sex is just for making babies and creating, but it's also for pleasure, it's also for fun, it's also to connect, to have that connection, to have that spiritual and emotional connection. Sex can just be a physical thing, but sex can also be an emotional experience, so, for both men and women. um, and society says that men have higher sex drives than women, and that's not always correct. Sometimes a woman can have a higher sex drive than a man, and that's okay too. So it's just finding out like what your partner's beliefs are around sex and what their values are, and what yours are, and how you can compromise, or how you can come together to create that pleasure where it's that giving and receiving. There's an equality there. There's a respect of yourself and the other person, of your body and their body. And if both people are open-minded, definitely like explore your sexuality, exploring your body on your own, through masturbation, through self-pleasure, but also through um like what, and what does your partner like, what do you like, figuring out what you both like and what the boundaries are, if there's any boundaries as well. So
People have a hard time talking about their what they're into. Um,
yeah, yeah,
I imagine that is probably correlated with. Well, I mean, it's a vulnerable topic, but like
yeah,
some people are into some really interesting things. So
yeah, yeah.
how do you bring that up to your partner? How do you build that trust so they can talk to you about it as well?
Yeah, I definitely think the three T's in a relationship that Zen and I've come up with is trust, talking, and teamwork. So really trusting each other. You want to feel safe that what you say stays between you two. So like you can talk about like your beliefs, your values, but like what your expectations are around sex, if you have any, what your sexual desires are. Um, so whether that's with like toys or bondage, or I think some people might like being into like porn and things like that, or adding people into the mix, like all that type of stuff. There's heaps of different relationships out there, and I respect all types of relationships.
Look,
And
I
I
don't
think,
respect all of them, but I get what you
yeah,
mean.
you understand what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think like having that discussion where you know each other's beliefs and values around it, the boundaries around it, um, what your sexual desires both might be for each other, um, and yeah, just finding that that compromise, and where you both are happy to meet. You know what I mean? Because then once you both get it off your chest and you say what you actually want, then like we're not giving the power to the sex anymore, or to
Mm.
the lack thereof, or the too much, or whatever. It's like now both individuals have the power. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your partner has like a lower sex drive than you, I don't know if you've been on Reddit Dead Bedrooms, but it's full of people like, oh man, it's great. It's full of
I need
people.
to read that. Reddit Dead Bedrooms, is it?
Yeah, it's full of people who have partners who don't have sex with their partners essentially for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah. There's many
Very
reasons.
very emotionally, very upset people. A lot of very negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you negotiate that if your partner has a lower sex drive than you? What do you say to them?
Yeah, definitely. You say what you feel and what you mean. I think you can say things like, be direct, just be like, listen, like, I want to have more sex. This is my desire. This is what I want. And like what's going on? Like, put it out there, get it off your chest, and then talk about it. Comes back to that trust, feeling that safety, then you can talk about anything. And then
Mm.
when you talk about anything, you become a team. You're like, okay, well, I'm happy to do this part of it, I'm happy to do that part of it, and you make it work if you both want it to work. And also, to get to sex, there's better things we can do that feel better. Like there's like you got your masturbation, you've got the things that lead into it as well, like the intimacy part, the kissing, the oral sex, but also the holding hands, watching a movie, going for dinner, the warm up, that intrigue before you hit climax, before the orgasm, the
Mm.
dress ups, the bath time, the shower time, that eye gazing, the conscious breathing, like the tantric sex. I haven't fully gotten into that. I've read a lot about it. I will try it out. But where you put each other's hand on each other's chests and like really connect to your breath, into his or her breath, and just when you're consciously breathing as one heart, then that person may feel safe and more vulnerable to open up and then engage into the sex. But it's not just about the end result of sex and orgasm. You can have an orgasm and intimacy, that can be so much more fulfilling than just the sex, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
That sounds a lot like your solution sounds a lot like it's fixing a problem of not feeling connected enough. And so I think you might be right. Maybe people who don't want to have sex oftentimes don't feel connected enough with their partner for some
Yeah,
reason. So
yeah,
like what you said with the date, holding hands, like kissing, and then maybe there's also levels here because maybe you can do that without expecting sex in the beginning as well.
yeah, yeah.
And then just build up the connection and maybe think of why is there no connection here? What is going on that is creating a loss of connection?
Yeah, I feel like it definitely comes back to connection. And yeah, taking away those expectations, because when we take the expectations away from ourselves and our partner, instead of thinking like, oh, she or he has to do this like tonight or on Sunday or once a week on a Wednesday or 5 times a week, when we take it away, then we're in this beautiful flow state of giving and receiving that. It's not that we have to. It's because we want to. Like, even if we're tired, we want to. Even if we've got 5 children, we want to. There's that desire. It's finding that desire and passion again, and finding other ways to find that pleasure, being creative with it, and like a massage or something, easing into that. But yeah, it definitely comes back to building that connection, building that trust, because you don't know, like maybe something happened to your partner, or to whichever partner in some point in their life that they haven't healed from, or maybe they feel self-conscious about their body, maybe they feel unworthy, disconnected from their body, or they feel like a failure. So anytime something doesn't go right in the sex department, always go inward to self first, instead of blaming, because a lot of people might blame their partner, like, why isn't this happening, or it's the kid's fault, or we work too many hours. But coming back to ourselves and saying words of affirmation to your partner, like, I love you, like, you're beautiful, I love your eyes, I love your breasts, whatever it is, like, I love your beard, I love how kind you are and caring. That might, and flirting with them, that might, laughing and dancing in the kitchen while cooking dinner, that might open them up over time. And if things don't work out, you're halfway through it, and whatever happens, you can still say I love you. You can still have a shower and hug it out. You can still have those emotional connections. Sorry about that. You can still create that emotional connection, that energetic connection, which can lead into the sexual and physical connection. So it's building each other up and knowing that it's not about rejecting yourself, or that the partner rejected you or you've rejected them. It's just both people need to be open and energetically ready and emotionally ready and physically ready for that. Yeah. To be vulnerable. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, to be vulnerable. Okay.
Yeah.